Good day and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be taking a crazy turn. I have been talking in my last couple of videos about wanting to start talking about politics, and so this is what this video is about. As I'm sure you've seen the thumbnail, I've been thinking about what I would call this video for a really long time, and I think I've come up with like why Trump has won. I knew ahead of time before the election actually happened that he would win. I put money on it. I won money on the fact that he won the election because I could see it coming from a mile away. I know that this video is going to be fairly divisive and people might not like what I have to say, but I think it's really, really important that everyone speaks on their truth, right? And I have spent months doing research on kind of the political climate in Canada and in the United States. I used to be very, very politically ignorant, and I was proud of it, that I grew up and I didn't vote and I didn't know who our prime minister was or anything about American politics, and I was blissfully ignorant. And then COVID happened and it completely changed my life. When COVID hit, I really, really, really did not want to get the vaccine. I was forced because as an actor, in order to be on set, you have to be vaccinated. In order to travel, you have to be vaccinated. I had family members tell me that they would not see me unless I was vaccinated. And I understand why people were getting vaccinated. I understand that we were being told that this is going to stop the spread of COVID, but it didn't. I was double vaccinated and I've had COVID 7 times. And I feel very lied to by the government as to what happened. Still to this day, I see people in masks, and I was at the doctor's the other day and I saw a sign that was like, get vaccinated, make sure. But there's millions of people with vaccine injuries, and it's obvious that the vaccine did not do what we were promised that it would do. And that kind of opened my eyes to kind of government corruption. And I very slowly started looking into Canadian government and American government and being very, very hypercritical of what I was seeing. And when the election between Biden and Trump came on, I knew Trump would win. I think he did a really good job in his presidency in 2016. And I have been a quiet conservative Republican for a long time now, and I want to be able to talk to my friends and family about it. But there's a lot of people in my life who immediately get very angry when I say that I was glad that Trump won. And so I made lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of notes as to why I think Trump won and why he deserved to win. So we are going to start with the cons. I know that Trump has a very long list of negative things that people talk about, because when they talk Kamala versus Trump, which what it ended up being, nobody's like, I'm voting for Kamala because she's great at foreign policy and she's obviously super smart and knows what she's doing and yada, yada, yada. The reason people were voting for Kamala was because they didn't want Trump in office, because they thought, or they still think, that he was a racist and misogynist and homophobic, and that he would be a dictator and a fascist. And I am here to prove that that is not the case with facts, because as my good friend Ben Shapiro says, facts don't care about your feelings. So we're going to start out strong with what I believe to be Trump's number one con in people's minds, and why I think the majority of people voted for Kamala: abortion. Now, to be completely honest, I've had an abortion. I believe in the right of abortion up to a certain extent. I do not think abortions should be allowed up to birth, which they are in 8 states. Trump was incorrectly fact-checked by the monitors of the debate, which is another very interesting point of contention for me. It is so obvious that the media is super biased against Trump and towards Kamala. And what I saw as an outside person, especially being Canadian, is that most of the media was very, very, very heavily anti-Trump to a point where they would start tipping the scales and cheating. And the moderators in that debate were one reason from it. So we're going to start there. In 1999, Trump publicly said that he was a supporter of abortion rights. As a matter of women's choice, he said, quote, "I'm very pro-choice. I hate the concept of abortion, but I just believe in choice. I also hate the concept of abortion. Like, it's not pretty. When I got an abortion, I was put out and I came to in the middle of an abortion, and I could feel and hear and smell a baby being sucked out of me. That is very graphic and very scary and very real, and it's awful. And I think sometimes people don't actually really think about what is actually going on. In June 2022, Roe v. Wade was overturned. Feminist icon Ruth Bader Ginsburg herself said that this was a bad piece of legislation. That doesn't mean that I think that abortion should be banned at all. I don't believe that, but I definitely think there needs to be a line. I think there needs to be laws of some sort. I don't know what that is, but I think that should be a conversation as to where the line is, because up to birth is not morally sound. The Supreme Court made this decision. The Supreme Court. People need to keep that in mind. If Kamala came into power, she would not be able to change that. It's not her. It's the Supreme Court, which people don't seem to understand. Even if Kamala wanted to reinstitute Roe v. Wade, she does not have the power to do that. That is in the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court made this decision on the grounds that abortion was not deeply rooted in this nation's history or tradition. This means that the legality of abortion is given to each state to decide. So, in each state, they can decide themselves, which means the citizens themselves vote. There are a lot of places where people think that abortion should be legal, so they will vote for that, and it'll be legal there. And there are a lot of places that people themselves vote that it should not be legal, and it isn't. Just like in Florida, which happened in this past election, everyone voted against late-term abortion. Like, this is democracy at its finest, where people are voting for what they want, and that's what it's getting, which is exactly what the Supreme Court wanted, which is exactly what happened with overturned Roe v. Wade. So Trump voted to ban abortion after 6 weeks. That's where people think that he's against abortion. He said he would not do a nationwide abortion ban, and I think he's going to stand by that, and I'll eat my words if he doesn't, but I really think he's going to stand by that, because why wouldn't he? It's not in anyone's best interest. I think 6 weeks as a woman, I think 6 weeks is a little short. When I found out I was pregnant, I was, I think, 8 weeks along, and I had an abortion at 9 weeks or something like that. I think that if you're a woman without a regular period, that could be difficult. I definitely think there needs to be a line somewhere. I just don't know where that line is. If it was up to me, it would probably be 3 months, which is 12 weeks, which is still, like, the fetus is really far along at that point in time, right? It's really far along, which is a scary thought. During the debate, Trump said that there are states that allow abortion in the 9th month. He was incorrectly fact-checked. They said the moderators should not have been doing this. They broke the rules, saying that there are no places that allow abortion in the late months, but that was a lie. There are 8 states that allow late-term abortion. New Jersey, New Mexico, Colorado, Oregon, Washington, New York, Minnesota, and one more, but I can't read my own writing. These places have no bans or no restrictions on the time of abortion. 8 babies have been born alive and allowed to die on the table because of these laws. 8 babies have been born alive. If you're a mom, I'm not a mom. Can you imagine giving birth to a baby and just letting it die there on the table without being properly cared for? That is crazy. I think abortion should be allowed. That should definitely not be allowed. We need a line here. Tim Walz, Kamala's running mate, he opposed the born alive ban, which would stop this. The former governor of Virginia said if a baby is born alive accidentally, you put it aside until you know what to do with it. When J.D. Vance, Trump's running mate, now the future vice president, was on Joe Rogan, he said that it is hard to make laws of a line to draw as to where abortion is okay versus when too much time has passed. And that too much time has passed and it's a baby, like within the room. He said Trump and him want abortion to be safe, legal, and rare. This is Bill Clinton's quote. He said that they would never put it in a nationwide ban and always have exceptions for rape, incest, and health of the mother. I know that there is a lie going on in the left-wing media that they talk about some woman. Oh, I should have figured out this woman's name. I'm so sorry. I don't know this woman's name. I think it was in Georgia, who wanted to get an abortion. She was late for her appointment. They gave her an abortion pill. She had bad reaction to the abortion pill, and her body went into distress and started shutting down. They went to the hospital. She went to the hospital, and the hospital did not give her the proper care because they were afraid of the law. The law at that time said that there was, and there always is in every single state right now, there is what's the word I'm looking for? Exception. In every single state right now, there is an exception for rape, incest, and health of the mother. So you're fighting on no legs here. IVF is another point. Trump has said that he, quote, wants to make life for mothers and babies not harder, and that includes supporting the availability of fertility treatments like IVF in every state in America. A lot of people are just lying to our faces in the media, and they're just so blinded by their hatred for Trump. So that is the first con that people say about Trump on abortion. My next con, racism. People say Trump is racist. And I constantly ask people, what has he said or done that's racist? I know that Trump is he's kind of like a big personality, a big character, a big exaggerator, right? Like he loves to weeble wobble through his stories and paint this tale. And in it, he sometimes says things that are just stupid or outlandish, like grab a woman by the pussy. In my personal opinion, I think that is the only thing that I cannot defend. The only thing that Trump has ever done that anyone could ever say that he has ever done is grab a woman by the pussy, which he was privately recorded. He was saying this to a buddy or something like that. I beg each and every one of you, have you not said something in the private of your own home to your spouse, to your best friend, drunk, that hasn't been slightly racist, misogynist, rude, mean, cruel? Every one of us have thoughts and actions and stuff like that. His just happened to be caught on tape. And no, it's not great. You should not grab a woman by the pussy. But as someone who's served as a waitress for 22 years, I know thousands of good men who have said inappropriate things to me, touched me in inappropriate ways, done inappropriate things, and they're good men. And we have to also keep in mind that it's funny, there's this video going around of Jimmy Kimmel, and he was like, after the election, he's like, oh, I feel so bad for the women. I'll try to insert the video here. And then he's caught years ago being like this to some woman. It was a different world back then, when we could use different language. Before the Me Too movement, when waitresses were just expected to have their ass grabbed on a regular basis, I was there. I saw it. And we are in a different place right now. And if that's truly the worst thing that Trump has ever done, you have to understand that people are voting as a chess move in their life, and they're not voting for their favorite person and the best moral person in the world and their pastor and their teacher and their best friend. That's not who they're voting for. They're voting for their family's future. They're voting for grocery store prices. They're voting for gas prices. They're voting for house prices. And Biden and Harris have made it very, very obvious in the last 4 years that they are making life more difficult for people. And anyone who says different is lying. So, on to racism. One example people give about Trump is racism is when George Floyd died. A reporter asked Trump why Black Americans are still dying at the hand of law enforcement. Trump said, so are white Americans. Way more than Black men, actually. Every race deals with police brutality. This is why people think he's racist, are little things like that. Someone mentions Black people and what's happening to them, and he goes, well, white people deal with that. And factually, I looked it up. Police brutality is a very, very small percentage, and there are more people that get struck by lightning and die every year than unarmed Black men get shot by the police. And actions speak louder than words. Trump unveiled opportunity zones when he was in office. He created a policy that will give investors tax breaks to invest in low-income areas. Something that I believe will help poorer areas of the world is that people don't want to build their businesses in there because there is a higher opportunity for break-ins or whatever. And this is any low-income place. This has nothing to do with color, right? But Trump gave investors tax breaks if they would build in that areas, because when you build into an area, you're creating a community. And in a community, you're going to offer jobs. You're going to offer more. Like, one of the main reasons for kids not graduating high school and crime is a lack of father in a household. When you create a community, there are more men to help kind of be fathers to kids without fathers in their life. That creates a community, because that really helps. And factually, that's a huge reason why there's crime, why people don't graduate high school, why there's single mothers, all of that. We want to create a better life and community, and Trump has created this policy to kind of instill more of a home into those communities. Trump invited over 200 young Black people to the White House to meet him and network. He worked with Kim Kardashian to get Black people out of jail. At his rally recently, a comedian, Tony Hinchcliffe, a roast comedian whose vibe is totally inappropriate, he told a Puerto Rican joke and a Jewish joke. And the crux of the joke is that a week ago, Puerto Rico was in the news because 3 of their 5 landfills do not meet the EPA guidelines, which is just so funny. I'm sure you saw the joke. It has something to do with Puerto Rico and garbage and stuff like that. But it wasn't the crux of the joke was that in Puerto Rico, they had just failed in their landfill audits or whatever, but nobody connected the dots. And this is a comedian. I really think that the world as a whole giving up any type of grace to our entertainment and our comedians is doing a disservice to our life. Being able to joke about stuff that's serious helps people and helps people's life and outcome dealing with serious things. That's like when you're dealing with something really hard, people try to make a joke out of it to lighten the mood, some people aren't like that, sure, but some people are. The left-wing media spent 2 days saying that a comedian was saying that Puerto Rico is garbage is reason enough to vote for Kamala. And yet 24 hours later, Biden called Trump supporters garbage, and it's no big deal. And they realized this really, really quickly after, and they put out a statement saying that he didn't say that Trump supporters are garbage. He said that Trump supporter apostrophes is garbage, which means that only that guy's garbage, which is such an absolute lie. And the fact that we have been continuously lied to over and over and over again for years is what literally is why I'm sitting here. Like, my heart goes out to Kamala voters, liberals who are good people and have good hearts and genuinely just don't want racism and don't want misogyny and don't want this in our life. I don't want that. If I genuinely thought that Trump was a racist and a misogynist and homophobic and a dictator and stuff, I wouldn't be sitting here doing this. But I have done enough research for myself to know that that's not the case. And a lot of people just think that way because of propaganda. Moving forward. Project 2025 has been debunked. They keep on trying to tie Trump to Project 2025, and he has said over and over and over and over again that he has nothing to do with it. And even the people who started Project 2025 have told the media that he has nothing to do with it. He's not a part of us. So any semblance of them trying to tie him to it is just another lie. Incited violence on January 6th. So this is the insurrection. What did Trump actually say? He said, quote, "I know that everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard." That's what he said. Does that sound like inciting violence? It does not. The crazy people on January 6th, that's not him. I believe there were crazy people there on January 6th, but he did not tell them to go do that. One person cannot be in charge of other people's actions like that unless he said, and it was on record that he said, go into the Capitol and storm it and make violence because this election result is ridiculous. But he didn't do that. He said peacefully and patriotically, and he doubled down. He doubled down on that. 27 minutes after the Capitol had breached, he tweeted, "Stay peaceful." People argue that he was trying to delay the certification of the election, but Trump called upon the National Guard to be at the Capitol. He said they needed backup, and Nancy Pelosi called it off and reduced the police presence. He did not incite violence. And I think that people just use this stuff without knowing what's going on as blank ammunition against him. Continuing on with the Trump is racist. I believe that being against illegal immigration is not racist. Under Trump's 4 years, there's about 2 million people who crossed over the border illegally. And under the Biden-Harris administration, that number was, can you guess? If it was 2 million under Trump, how many do you think it was under Biden-Harris? 11 million. 11 million people who came over the border. And I think that a lot of people don't have a concept of what that does to the economy. So if 11 million people are now coming into the country, they're going to be taking people's jobs. They're going to be taking over homes. The rent prices are going to go up, and people are going to be being paid less because illegal immigrants will be like, well, I'll do it for less. So then people are being paid less, which is what causes inflation. There are Chinese, Indian, and Russian people that are streaming in through the southern border, says the Border Patrol, taking away jobs from Americans and companies that want to get cheaper labor. Another example of him being racist is saying the coronavirus was the Chinese virus. This was before everything had come out about COVID and where it had stemmed from. But it did start in Wuhan, China, which is why he said Chinese virus. So why do we give so much grace to Biden freaking biting children or smelling their hair or calling Trump's voters garbage, and yet Trump can't say China virus? And yet there's the Spanish flu and the West Nile virus, both named from the locations where they started. And that's been an ongoing thing in life where people name things from their origin. And yet when he says it, it's racist. Moving on to Trump being homophobic, another Trump con. Trump was interviewed by a British reporter about gay politician Pete Buttigieg, a Democratic presidential candidate. He said it's absolutely fine for him to have a husband, and then he promised he would do everything in his power to protect our LGBTQ citizens from the violence and opposition and oppression of a hateful foreign ideology. Gay men just got married at Mar-a-Lago recently. Why would he have gay men be married at his house if he was homophobic? Trump appointed the first gay member of the cabinet, Rick Grenell. He launched an initiative to eradicate the transmission of HIV in the US by 2030, and he made PrEP available to members of the gay community for free. He stood on stage at the UN and demanded the decriminalization of homosexuality. That was like 6 examples of him actively, legislatively being behind the LGBT community. He has made no actions at all against LGBTQ in any way. I don't understand. Like, I've been watching videos of LGBTQ people on TikTok and stuff crying when Trump has been elected, like, oh, my rights are going to be taken away. My rights are going to be taken. What right? Like, he has over and over and over and over again advocated for the LGBTQ. I'm bisexual. I don't really consider myself to be a part of the LGBTQ community, even though it's in the B of LGBTQ, because I don't know, maybe I should consider myself part of that community, but I don't think about it. I'm in a heterosexual relationship. It's just a part of who I am. It's never been a big deal to me. It's just a part of who I am. And I've never hid it. I've never said anything like that. I've never felt threatened to express that in any way. And Trump has never said that he would take away anyone's rights, ever, for that of any kind. He's literally made being gay easier in his administration. I don't understand where people are coming up with this. Okay, another Trump con is that he's fascist or a dictator. By definition, a fascist is a far-right authoritarian ideology dictator. Forcible oppression of the opposition. Fascists view violence as a means to national rejuvenation. Trump was the only president in our lifetime who started no new wars. Being a fascist and being a dictator, by definition, they view violence as a means to national rejuvenation. Trump started no new wars. He does not want to be in war. He is strength, which is why people talk about him being buddies with Putin or whatever. Like, it's important to be able to have a conversation with your enemies in any way, because how else are you going to resolve anything? How are we going to get Russia to pull out of Ukraine if we can't sit down and talk to the guy who's doing it and go, dude, this is a mistake. If you keep doing this, we're going to have to intervene because this is a mistake. He needs to be able to have a conversation, and Putin needs to be able to listen to him and respect him a modicule in order to create any semblance of change. He said that he doesn't like abortion, but he won't ban it. A fascist dictator would ban it. If he did, Hitler controlled the media, right? Trump doesn't control the media. Do you know who does control the media? The left. Interesting, right? Hitler hated free speech. Trump loves free speech. Do you know who wants to control free speech? The left. Kamala said that there should be rules and regulations on social media regarding speech. Free speech is so freaking important. I understand that people could get triggered or get their feelings hurt, but that's a part of living in the world. Sorry. That's just a part of being a human being. And it is a constitutional right to not be able to take away someone's free speech. Hitler wanted to take away people's free speech. Trump wants free speech. Kamala and Biden don't want free speech. They're calling him a fascist dictator while they are making actions that only a fascist dictator would make. Hitler hated gun ownership. Trump wants gun ownership. Kamala doesn't want gun ownership. She also lied about that, but we're going to get to that later. Capitalism. Hitler hated capitalism. Trump liked capitalism. Kamala wants to be a socialist, a Marxist, maybe even a communist at some point in time. I think I'm going to do another video about that because I think people don't understand the difference between capitalism, socialism, communism, Marxism. So at some point in time, we're probably going to do a debrief about that, but today is not the day because that would take a hot minute. Spoiler alert, capitalism's good. Free market, good. It's what gets you your phone at a reasonable price. It's what gets you groceries with a fair trade at a reasonable price, you know? Hitler divided everyone by race. Trump does not. Do you know who does? The left. Segregation is now coming back into style. DEI, where people are appointed based on their race. Do you want a surgeon who's been pushed along saying, because you're black, we're gonna nudge you forward? We're gonna make sure you're successful just because of the color of your skin, rather than a meritocracy where they got there by being the best? I don't care who cuts me open and fixes my heart. I don't care what you look like. I don't care your sex. I don't really care your age, as long as you're not 100. I care that you're the best person who could heal me. I read somewhere that someone said, I didn't like Trump, but I voted for him because he's a narcissist who will do the best job because he doesn't want to fail. And I want the surgeon to be the narcissist who will do the best job because he doesn't want to fail. Harris has done all of these things. Trump hasn't. Who's the dictator now? Moving on from Trump's cons, we're now going to talk about Kamala's cons. And I think Kamala's cons, number one, she lies. So we're going to go through all the lies that I could initially find. I'm sure there's tons more, but let's start with the easy ones. She shouldn't be allowed to lie. She still to this day claims that Biden is cognitively sound. Obviously, he's not. Did you see the debate? Obviously, this man is being put on some sort of drug in order to be with it and coherent and something. Anyone who has seen him or heard him talk knows that he is not cognitively okay. There's a difference. Like, I understand that like Trump and Biden are like similar ages, but you can see 90-year-olds who are doing push-ups and you can see 90-year-olds who are on their deathbed. Like, there's differences. You can see 30-year-olds who are 300 pounds and can't get up from their couch, and you can see 30-year-olds who could run 2 marathons in one day. Like, you can't, it's not apples to apples. So people saying over and over and over again, lying, that Biden was okay. Biden is so with it. Oh my gosh, have you seen him? Like, he's just so smart. He's up all the time and he's just doing everything and he's making all these great decisions. And I'm so impressed by him over and over and over again. I heard people saying this about him. And then he gets on stage and he's like, he called Zelensky Putin. Zelensky was there and he was introducing Zelensky. And he goes, and now here we have Putin. And Zelensky's like, that is not a man that's cognitively okay. She was asked directly twice recently, and she still says that he's as smart as ever. Lie. Then why did he step down? Why did he step down? His debate with Trump was a disaster, and many say that his mental acuity is not there. Lie number 2. We've already talked about this, so I'm going to be brief. Project 2025. Fact, Trump had nothing to do with Project 2025. And at the debate, he said this again, and it's in his speeches over and over again. Why is someone who's supposed to be morally good enough to be the president of the United States allowed to perpetuate lies? Why is 49% or however many of Americans that voted for Kamala okay with her lying over and over and over and over and over again? Like, a lot of these are very obvious lies. Lie number 3. Tim Walz and I are gun owners. Really? Do you believe that? Did you see the video of Tim Walz trying to load a gun, trying to hold a gun, trying to shoot a gun? He's never held a gun in his entire life. And Donald Trump is telling everyone that we're going to take people's guns away. Yeah, because they are. Because in 2019, Kamala tried to enact a mandatory gun buyback program. And just a couple of months ago, called for a ban on assault weapons. Also, like, why are you saying, like, there are two legislative things that you've done to prove to people that you're taking guns away, and then at the debate she said, we're both gun owners, we're not going to take your guns away. Okay, so why did you actually try to put in through one piece of legislation and one bill that does take people's guns away? Line number 3. Line number 4. Knowingly takes Trump's words completely out of context repeatedly and twisting his words. Trump said that there will be a bloodbath if the outcome of this election is not to his liking. Lie. Trump was referring to the auto industry. If you, like, you could take anything out of context. If someone said, like, in this lie where Trump said there's going to be a bloodbath, Trump said there was going to be a bloodbath, was repeated over and over and over again in media when he was talking about the auto industry. He was talking about if Kamala gets back in, the auto industry will experience a bloodbath because they will get so many cars from outside the United States when actually building cars in the US is a huge industry that needs to be like reinvigorated because it gives so many jobs and it puts so much money into the economy in the US. She also uses Charlottesville as an example and misquotes him. In Charlottesville, there was a white supremacist rally, and she said that Trump said there were fine people on both sides. Trump had actually immediately condemned this group in real time. It's all on tape. Why is she allowed when everything that happened is all on video? You can go and see it. He said, he said, there are good people on both sides. I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists because they should be condemned. But they'll cut that off and change it. CNN and ABC and MSNBC have been caught multiple times during this election cycle with cutting things, editing them so that they look better. The media, this should be illegal. The media should not be allowed to do this. You should be able to have to put something in its entirety or not misconstrue the concept. There was a, I believe, senator in the United States who had an intern filming him as he was being interviewed because he was worried that they would do that to his words, and that's exactly what happened. I don't know which media outlet did it, but they took his words and they edited it so that his answer to a question sounded completely different than what his actual answer was, but he had the original video on his own phone so that he posted it side by side and said, you're being lied to. This is what they said I said, but this is what I actually said. That should be absolutely illegal. I don't understand why these lies are allowed to be perpetuated over and over again. And thus, they convince people, if people aren't seeing the whole picture, they're convincing people that Trump is a dictator, that Kamala is the best person to vote for, even when these lies are happening. Line number 5 was the insurrection. Line number 6, saying that she's for fracking when she's against fracking. There's an FBI agent. Oh, this was a different note, but I'm going to go back to it. The insurrection. There was an FBI agent that was sentenced for inciting. So there's a video of Ted Cruz who, when the insurrection happened, this man came forward and said, my uncle incited the insurrection. He had texted him, and he has all the text that says, I'm going to get people to go inside the Capitol. This is my doing, blah, blah, blah. It was an FBI agent who there's a video of in one of the rallies going, we're going to go into the Capitol. Let's go storm the Capitol. And everyone around him's like, no, you're a Fed. No, you're a Fed. You're a Fed. And then there's another video before people actually went into the Capitol of him whispering to this other guy. And then 5 seconds later, this other guy breaks down the barriers and goes into the Capitol. And then the FBI put out a bunch of pictures on their website of all of the people who they were looking for to like arrest for the insurrection. And this guy's picture was there one day and then it wasn't there the next. And people were like, why is this picture gone? It was found out that he was actually an FBI agent that had done all of these things to get people to storm the Capitol. And he was sentenced, and nobody knows this. He's in jail currently for this. And he was an FBI agent, and it's not well-known news. And I'm so frustrated, and I don't understand that. Line number 7. Tim Walz saying that he was at Tiananmen Square. The gentleman who was the vice president nominee, who could be vice president on this upcoming January 6th, lied and said that he was deployed in the army, that he was a high school, I think, basketball or football coach when he was the assistant, and he said that he was in Tiananmen Square. Those are 3 really big lies that could be easily found out, and they were. He was found to be lying about these 3 incidences, and do you know what he said? He said, oh, well, I'm just a silly guy who flubbed up and made a mistake. No, that was saying that you were at Tiananmen Square when you're out, like, it was a big national, like, world stage event. You know that you weren't there. Crazy. Okay, I have more lies on a different page because I had to go so many pages. Lie number 8. During the debate, she said that there were no active military deployed. There are 2,500 troops currently in Iraq. You think as the vice president she would know that? There's a TikTok. I'll try to find it and put it up.
And as of today, there is not one member of the United States military who is in active duty in a combat zone in any war zone around the world. The first time this century. What? But let's understand.
So where the fuck are we right now?
That they're watching the debate, and it's like, there are no troops currently deployed, and then the camera pans to all these men currently deployed somewhere, and they're like, what about us? Who are we? What are we doing here then? Like, 1, she would know that as the vice president, current vice president, and 2, why are you lying about that? That's a flat out lie. Line number 9, Trump left office with the worst unemployment rate in history. When Trump left office, the unemployment rate was 6.4%. The worst is 35.9%. That is a 29% difference. Lie. Moving on from lies, because we could go on and on and on and on. Okay, we're going to briefly go over Trump con. He's a convict. There are 5 cases. And almost every single one of these cases have been thrown out. People talk about the 34 counts. They were all thrown out recently. All of them. All of them. He's not convicted. Like, I don't understand what people are talking about. So, not turning over the documents once he had a subpoena, that's gone away because of Jack Smith. And Biden did the same thing where he brought documents home, and the judge literally said, he's not in his right mind. He's an old man. He didn't know what he was doing. So we're just going to let him off about this. And yet they charged Trump with it. Okay, so if Biden is an old man who doesn't know what he was doing and didn't realize like he was bringing these home, why is he the current sitting president of the United States? Number 2, he stole an election. This was immediately appealed by Judge Burke, and he won the appeal because there are so many holes in the case. This was in New York, which went 87% for Biden. And they tried charging him with a conspiracy, but they just issued an apology. And it has been proven that there was intentional human interference with the election. Thrown out. Gosh. The fraud trial, Letitia James. No victims. The banks who were involved said that no one lost a penny. What are we doing here? We weren't damaged. Nobody complained except Letitia James, who said, I will get him. And this bankrupted his company. And on October 12th, 2024, this year, the appeals court threw out this case, and the other 34 counts were thrown out, and the $454 million was returned to him. Again, not a convict in that one. Number 4. Alan Bragg, who is George Soros' funder prosecutor who doesn't like to prosecute any crime in New York City except this one, That was thrown out. The last one, the fifth one, was the E.G. Carroll case. This is the only case I think that anyone should ever talk about. If they want to argue about Trump, if I was debating about Trump and I was against Trump and I was doing the other side of like why Trump shouldn't be, this is the only case I'd talk about. So this is a woman, E.G. Carroll. 30 years ago, she says that she was sexually assaulted by Trump in a Bergdorf Goodman dressing room. Bergdorf Goodman doesn't exist anymore. If you knew what Bergdorf Goodman back then, you'd know how impossible it would be to assault someone in one of their dressing rooms. It was a very like fancy luxury department store where there were people everywhere. Like there were people, there was probably 2 people who were helping people in the dressing room and the changing room. So unless like Trump paid them off or they left or something, there would have been a witness. This woman, E.G. Carroll, the statute of limitations had gone up and they changed the laws so that she could bring a civil case up against him after 30 years. She doesn't remember any of the facts. She couldn't remember the year, and it was a civil case and he didn't get convicted. He essentially paid her off, like, because it was so bad. He was like, I've never met this woman. This never happened. So that's the only case where there's gray area. I, in my heart, truly do not believe that Trump sexually assaulted this woman. If he did, that's fucking horrible. And he probably shouldn't be president if he raped a woman, because I've been sexually assaulted and it's awful. In my heart of hearts, I truly believe that that didn't happen. And that's for one reason alone. In 1997, there was a serial rapist in New York who raped and sodomized at least 16 women. The main detective, a guy named John Beza, wanted to get out a mailer in the community in 1997. This wasn't like, not everyone had the internet. They couldn't just send out like a text message or an emergency thing. Like, they needed to tell the women of New York that there was this serial rapist. This is what he looks like. And there were over 140 policemen and detectives on this case, but the NYPD did not have enough money to send out this mailer to warn women about this rapist. So Trump paid for it. Not like less than 2 days later. If Trump was a rapist, why would he spend, I think it was $40,000 at the time, which was in the 90s. Why would he spend $40,000 to warn women about a rapist? It just, the math ain't mathin', you know? So we should be paying attention to people's actions, what they do. I think that's probably the biggest Trump con, just because there's no proof on it, you know? I think the only thing is that if she was actually sexually assaulted, why didn't she do something at the time? Why did she wait for 30 years until he was like really, truly going to be a politician? Like she could have got him for a lot of money at any point in time because he was so famous. She doesn't remember the year. You remember the year you're sexually assaulted, believe you me. Moving on. I have some examples of Democrats lying, stealing votes, not being democratic, cheating. Number 1. A Kentucky man records trying to vote for Trump multiple times on a computer screen and it won't click. I'm sure you've seen this video. After trying a couple of times, it auto-filled the Kamala Watts square. Number 2, Michigan has 500,000 more voter registrations than voters. How is that possible? How is that possible? Michigan has 500,000 more voter registrations than voters. Number 4, FEMA officials were ordered not to help out houses with Trump signs. There were leaked messages that were found, obtained by the Daily Wire from FEMA officials, that says very clearly, do not help out houses with Trump signs. That is psychopathic. That is crazy. I do not understand that at all. And it just is terrible, terrible human being stuff right there. On October 30th, Michigan's Secretary of State, October 30th of this year, Jocelyn Benson said that there was a nationwide issue with the electronic Dominion voter access terminals preventing voters from making certain selections. According to their office, this programming issue cannot be fixed. They are not going to be fixed, and voters are forced to deal with it. If that's not voter fraud, I don't know what is. Other issues to consider. A Kamala Khan, the trans issue. I have a very good trans friend. I think that trans people exist. I think they have every right to transition from male to female or female to male. I don't understand that as a person in my own body in a comfortable way. What I do think is you should be 18 before you do surgery or puberty blockers or any type of hormones or anything like that. I was a tomboy very, very, very much so when I was younger. And I think that I might have been influenced by social media or this community to transition to a man when I'm so comfortable and happy in my body now. But as a young girl going through puberty who was totally a tomboy, I definitely wasn't. And it has been scientifically proven that puberty blockers will not just pause puberty. It will make boys grow a micro penis and they won't ever be able to have regular normal sexual satisfaction. I think if you want to transition, God be with you. Go ahead. No problem when you're 18. Because it's so detrimental to do that to children who, you know, like your brain isn't fully formed until you're like 25 or something like that. Like I've made stupid, tell you a little story. I got my worst boyfriend's name tattooed on me when I was, I don't know, 22 or something like that. Stupid. But it was a tattoo. I got it covered badly, really badly. Look at it. You could probably still see it. Badly, right? But, you know, thank God it was just a tattoo. Imagine if I chopped off my breasts or chopped off my penis or something. And maybe it was a mistake. So Kamala will allow... She supports taxpayer-funded gender transition surgeries. She said she wanted tampons in boys' bathrooms. She sponsored a bill that will allow men to compete in women's sports and men in women's dressing rooms. And Tim Walz signed a petition to remove the word pedophile and replace it with the word minor attracted people. MAP. I think also the men competing in women's sports really gets me. It's sad that as a healthy trans person, if you're an adult, if you're a 40-year-old trans woman who loves basketball or whatever, that you couldn't go to the Olympics as a woman. Like that sucks for sure. It does but biologically, factually, men are stronger and faster and have literal different biology, bone density than women. Like this year in the Olympics, there was a man in a boxing competition for the Olympics who had transitioned to a woman and literally beat the fucking shit out of all these women. Like beat the fucking crap out of them. And it's just not fair. Like I support you being a woman. Totally. 100%. Go for it. If that's what you want, have at her. If you're over the age of 18, you do you. I don't care. I support you. I want you to be happy. If you think in your heart that you're a woman, get it, girl. Love it. Go, girl. Yes, girl. Yes, queen. Don't care. What I don't want is for you to use the natural biology of you being born a man and your natural strength to kick the shit out of biological women. And this woman, this trans woman, won gold in boxing in the Olympics in 2024. And I think that's so unfair to all the women who have been working their whole lives for that. Is it also unfair to this trans woman that she can't do that? Yes, it is. That, you know, my heart goes out to trans people and all that they have to deal with the stigma. And it's like, it must be really difficult to like go through that transition and like changing of like hormones and stuff. Like that must be difficult for sure. And my heart goes out to it. And I like want to support you in whatever way I can emotionally. But that doesn't mean that you can go into women's locker rooms when you still have a penis, you know? Like in Canada, there was I think 50-year-old man who was doing like a teenage sport and was in a teenage dressing room with his man penis. And that's just not okay. Like if you are if you are a trans woman who has gone through all the surgery and you know, you are fronting as a woman, go into your locker room for sure. I get it. It's a difficult thing. It's the same with abortion where there's a line somewhere and it's gray. We don't know where the line is, but we got to figure out together where the line is because there is a line, you know, we just got to figure out what it is together. Moving on, another issue to consider is the BLM riots. So everyone gets all high and mighty about the January 6th insurrection, but they don't talk about the $2 billion in damages, you know, from all of these BLM riots. There was a pandemic going on in the world and nobody could leave their house except for my boyfriend. Talking serious stuff here and he's just making jokes and mooning me. I love you, baby. Can I have some salad? How much minutes have I been going? How long?
I don't know, but an hour.
Wow.
Literally just hit the 1 hour.
Crazy.
I know, you can't fucking shake anything up. I need to shake some stuff up, so take a pause. What the hell am I in the kitchen?
Babe, I'm killing it.
Yeah, I can hear. It's so
And we're back. We were talking about the $2 billion in damages from the BLM riots, and it turned out that BLM was a fraud. Watch Candace Owens' documentary about where that money went. I donated to BLM twice because I thought that was the right thing to do. The money never went to help one Black person, except the people who started BLM. They became millionaires. My money went into one person's pocket, maybe two, maybe three persons' pocket. Didn't go to help any Black Lives Matter person that didn't start it. A retired former Black officer was killed during the BLM riots. Countless Black business owners' property were damaged. Founders took millions of dollars and the organizers just spent them on themselves. Something else to note about the left-wing media propaganda. Google was the highest donator to Kamala. They donated $1.2 million. Something else of note, which I found very interesting when they're talking about Trump being racist or Black rights being taken away, is that there are more slaves today than there have ever been ever in history. How crazy is that? More than there was in 1865 when it was abolished. Right now in Libya, when the U.S. took down Libya, when the U.S. took down Libya and the rebels killed Gaddafi on television on C-SPAN, Libya became a failed state. And there were slave auctions that you could watch on YouTube. Right now, Google it, there are 38 to 49 million people that are slaves today. Coal mine workers, Chinese, people who were shipped in from other places to build stuff. So there's a piece of legislation in California called Prop 6. It was meant to make slavery illegal because apparently in California, still to this day, slavery isn't legal. And that bill, Prop 6 in California, did not pass. Did not pass. People did not vote to abolish slavery. I don't understand. Like, it's crazy the amount of stuff that's like gone underneath the radar that while I've been doing this research, like I literally have 20 pages here of research that I've done over the last couple of months because I just didn't know and I didn't want to be uninformed. Like I used to really hate Trump and people would be like, why do you hate Trump? And I'd be like, well, because he's racist. Well, what did he say that was racist? and I couldn't really give them an answer. And even if I could, it was debunked really quickly, or I'd be like, well, you know, he's gonna take away our rights, or he's a misogynist, or he's this, or he's that, and I had no backing. So I looked into it, and then everything that I thought was like, just my blinders were taken off. I was proven wrong over and over and over again. So I had to change my point of view. I had to change my opinion. And that's why I'm here, because I honestly hope to change other people's opinions. I know it's like a really fucking scary, risky thing I'm doing, putting out this video. Like, it just is. Like, I could be, especially because I'm an actor, and Hollywood is super woke, left-leaning. Like, look at all of the celebrities that supported Kamala. Like, she spent millions and millions of dollars. She spent $10 million getting Beyonce to go on stage. She spent like $2 million on Oprah. She spent like $1 million on, like 1.8 on Eminem. She spent $5 million on Megan Thee Stallion. Like, she spent a couple million on Cardi B. Like, to have to pay to get celebrities to endorse you as a political person should be illegal. Like, that's, politics should be one thing where you're not allowed to buy people's endorsement, because it's a lie and it's so important. Okay, so we're moving on. So another thing on illegal immigration, it's not as simple as people coming over the border and wanting a better life. You know, of course people want that, but people are also getting exploited. Like, I don't want to say that everyone coming over the border is a criminal, because they're not. A lot of people are just looking for a better life, and I totally get that, but those people are being exploited. Like, there are tens of thousands of kids who are missing. Factually, there are tens of thousands of children who are missing, and a lot of them honestly might have been smuggled into child trafficking. 10 million people came over the border in the 4 years of the Biden-Harris administration. Yeah, which I already said. Also, there are a lot of criminals that have come over the border. And the guy who killed Laken Riley, like, his flight was paid for by the US government. So taxpayers' dollars paid to fly the man who killed Laken Riley and, like, beat her to death and raped her, flew him into where, like, I think it was Georgia, where she lived. That's crazy. Okay. We're going to talk about another Kamala con. We talked about all of Trump's cons, so we're going to talk about Kamala's cons. Her weak foreign policy. There was a shambolic military withdrawal from Afghanistan that caused the death of 13 U.S. military personnel, and it stranded thousands of U.S. civilians. They gave Iran $6 billion with a B dollars to revive the Iran nuclear deal, and it didn't work. They didn't revive it. They suspended Trump's oil sanctions, handing $100 billion in oil exports to Iran. The U.S. weakness in the Middle East emboldened Russia to invade Ukraine. He didn't do that when Trump was in power. Trump, on the other hand, destroyed murderous ISIS and killed the leader al-Baghdadi, something like that, which I find funny because I think it's literally Baghdadi. He was strong with Iran on the oil sanctions, which is why gas was cheaper then than it is now, because of Trump's sanctions that he had on Iran, and he had very harsh economic sanctions on China. Kamala Khan, defund the police. This, I just really don't get this. Why? Like, I think where this stemmed from was the George Floyd thing. Like, that's so sad. George Floyd should not have been killed, obviously. And the police is one of those jobs where if you make a mistake, people die. If you're a bad guy, like, it's a horrible job, like, where to have bad people in it, you know? But there are bad people in every job. There are bad people who are nurses that kill people, you know? Like, there's more than one, like, angel of death nurse who are there, like, and it's women a lot of the time, who go into nursing specifically to kill people because they can, because they have access to stuff. There are bad people who are surgeons and doctors. There are bad people who are child care workers, who are pedophiles. There are bad people who are teachers, who are child predators. There are bad people in every single job. And for a while, it was just highlighted on the police. Like, not all of these police people are bad. It's like, not all men, you know, kind of thing. But with George Floyd, it just snowballed into defund the police, which is exactly the opposite of what we want. We need more police. We need more police to create that community I was talking about, that safety net. And crime is at an absolute high. Kamala wrote this Safe Neighborhoods and Schools Act. So prior to this law, theft over $400 would be considered a felony. And this law changed it so that it's now $950 to be a felony. So there's literally posters on stores that are like, if you're gonna steal, like, make sure it's below $950 or else it'll be like grand theft. Like, it's so sad to watch what's happened to like San Francisco and stuff, because crime is just running rampant. Like, drug possession is no longer a felony. Why? Why is drug possession no longer a felony? And in Canada, like, we have legalized like meth and methamphetamines and opiates, and so many people have died because of it. So many. Like, I don't understand it. There's no rationalization to it. And now it's a misdemeanor under $400, and I wrote, this is what legalized drug use. I have no idea what that was, but it's obvious that, like, why are we legalizing drug use? Why? Like, it just doesn't, it's not what's making people better. We want to make people better. We want to make lives better. We want to make families better and families stronger. Like, I don't want to live in a place where there's so much drug use around me. Like, it's not good. It's not good. That's why we took cocaine out of Coca-Cola. Kamala Khan, economy is at an all-time low. There are no ifs, ands, abouts about this. Like, the economy is bad. Gas prices are higher. House prices are higher. Food prices are higher. Like, it's just a flat out lie if anyone's saying that the economy was better under Biden-Harris. It's just a lie. Like, the interest payments on the national debt are now higher than the defense budget. That is crazy. The amount of money that they're giving to the Ukraine, that they're giving to illegal immigrants, that they're giving to people, when they're giving, I think it was like $700. It was like $70 or $700 to the people who were affected by the latest hurricane. It's just, the money is going to the wrong places. Like, she's giving so much money, like, them as the Biden-Harris administration are giving so much money to the wrong people, and that needs to be very super transparent. That needs to be. Kamala Khan, super woke. Like, she believes that those who fail are oppressed and that those who succeed are oppressors. That is just such a backwards way of thinking. She wants to censor words on the internet and get rid of free speech. She wants to decriminalize prostitution. A mandate for automakers to only build electric or hydrogen vehicles by 2035. Crazy. Let's move on to the next page. See where we're going next. We're wrapping it up here. We're wrapping it up. Okay. The last thing I want to talk about, because this video is getting very long and I could go on and on and on, is a Trump pro. Make America Great Again. These words, MAGA, have become so, like, negatively associated. Make America great again. Because so many people are suffering from mental illness, depression, being poor. Like, everyone's poor. Nobody can buy a house. I can't buy a house. I make good money. And I mean, I live in Canada, but, like, I equate Biden-Harris and Trudeau to be super similar. Trudeau is fucking Canada up. And I will do another video on that. But this has just been on my mind and my heart lately, so I wanted to talk about Trump first. Trump had a great economy. He believes that America's founding principles are great and we should restore them. Family, community, local work. He doesn't believe it was built on sexism, homophobia, and racism. He believes in a land of opportunity, and he doesn't believe in oppression, the oppressed matrix that tells someone is based, like, oppressed is based solely on someone standing in society. You know, he believes in economic meritocracy, which I do as well. He wants to lower taxes, have more dynamic business, and use tariffs in order to barter, or in some cases, force other countries to follow the rules or not take away business from Americans. This is part of the reason that Trump had a thriving economy, which he did. Like, things were just better. Like, groceries were cheaper, gas was cheaper. And I think that because Trump is now coming into power again, I'm really hoping there's a trickle-down effect in Canada. I think that he's created this really interesting team around him. RFK Jr., he wants to make America healthy again. Like, there's so many things in the vaccines and in our food and in our water that are killing us. And there's statistics on how much more sick kids are and how they're not meeting their milestones like they used to as their growth. And I think RFK Jr. is really going to help with that. I think Vivek is a very smart man and he's a good person to have around. I think Elon Musk is going to, he tweeted out that he's going to be really transparent with where the money's going and like have people vote on what they want done with their taxes, which I think is so fair. Like, I think when you fill out your taxes, you could be like, I want social programs, I want better roads, I want fill in the blank, whatever. I don't know what we fucking pay our taxes for. I think he's built this such strong team around him, even like Joe Rogan and Dana White, and Tulsi Gabbard. Like, she is such a patriot in and out. I'm very, very excited to see what happens with Trump in power moving forward. And if you got this far in my video and you still disagree with me, tell me, call me, text me. Message me on Instagram, LolaBonita22. Fill me in. I am willing to talk about it because, you know, I have people in my family and really close friends of mine who refuse to talk to me about it. And all I want to do is make the world better. A place where I can have children and raise them and buy a home, you know. Thank you so very much for joining me. Take care. Bye.